What's good, y'all? Today we're gonna react to some scary TikToks that will make you think twice. Yeah, let's get to it, man. Should be good. We got 30 minutes of this, so yeah, let's get to it.
Some random ass bricks, bro. Ain't no construction. Ain't no construction, bro. Just some random ass bricks sitting here.
This the setup.
They put them there on purpose,
Y'all know where
bro.
we at.
They gonna set them on right up on the rail.
Y'all know what building this is
Come
right
on
here.
now.
I ain't even gonna say what name it is.
Hey, where do them bricks go to? Where do them
This
bricks
is
go
set
to?
up.
Where do them bricks
We
go
gotta
to?
do better.
Ain't no,
Gotta do better.
ain't no damn construction around here.
I see.
Ain't no damn construction around here. You just gonna set a pallet of bricks right there. Oh, okay.
Listen, I did jury duty 3 months ago. Y'all don't keep no bricks right there.
Preparing for a riot. They probably about to do something.
That don't look right to me. That don't look right to me. Bricks at a bus stop on Ventura Boulevard?
Yeah, I don't think that was anything too important, really. I think they were probably about to do some construction. They just brought in the stuff ahead of time. I mean, you can see they had rocks like for framing around something, but I mean, they ain't just gonna put bricks out there just so people can throw through the businesses, because we didn't hear about nothing like that going on. So yeah, I don't think there's too much to read into that one.
Basically a city underground. Now there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. What we call high tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. These mega bases are gobbling up our gross national product. Right now we're spending 28% of the gross national product on building underground bases. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. And the black budget is dead wrong. It sidesteps the United States Congress and its Constitution of its people and says you're a bunch of morons you don't need to know. Each one is built in the site. It used to be, it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year.
It's a big old underground base, man.
The infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base.
That thing goes and goes and goes.
The high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them working in cover of darkness,
Wow.
each with an average capacity capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4.25 cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore, they literally vitrify and melt the rock.
What do you mean there is tunnels, roadways, stations, cities and subways built into the mountains? I never knew this, so it can't be true. My local news never mentioned this.
This is a headquarters for the Illuminati. This is where they'll ship most of their supplies. Goes all the way to Washington, D.C., huh? Goes all the way to Washington, D.C. Yeah, you Homeland Security? Yeah. How far have you taken this down to, how far have you actually ran a load? Miles? Up to Maine? No shit. How many miles do you think that is? Man, that's unbelievable. Not to mention, I heard there's one that goes all the way to Colorado, right? Unbelievable. What do you think you're hauling? Any idea? Yeah, okay. Yeah. 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 I know there's been a lot of military stuff being hauled around lately, that's for sure, huh?
We deliver to them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. 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 Well, I appreciate it. I heard there's water supply, food supply, everything's in there. Yeah, unbelievable.
You don't get no cell phone service.
No. Peace, brother. Basically, you got an underground roadway system here that runs all the way to Maine, to Washington, D.C., to Colorado. It's fully stocked.
Wow.
It runs completely underground.
From Washington, D.C. to Colorado.
And you can see they've been hauling tons of military equipment. You know, they're stocking all these bases. Now, the other thing is the railroad system here is also very strategic. They're bringing in boxcar loads and they're dump shipping here, and they can really deliver to all these locations, which these locations go all the way to Area 51. These locations go all the way to Washington, D.C. There's access underneath the White House to this location, okay? So this is a strategic location, which is really the new command center for the Illuminati. Forget the United States government. This is a headquarters for the Illuminati. This is where they'll ship most of their supplies. When they go underground, they can stay underground for quite some time. And this is stocked with food, water, everything they need. It's an underground city. So this is the north entrance, and we're going to go see if we can do some more digging.
This video with me because you.
That was interesting. From Washington to Colorado, there's a tunnel. That's crazy to even think that. I mean, I don't think it's for the Illuminati. I think it's for our U.S. government. But man, that's crazy to think that's that far. Man, let's get to it.
Unicorns were mentioned 9 times in the Bible. Let's play it.
This is a depiction of unicorn. This animal is mythical. It's fictional. It's make-believe. It's not real. There's none of these alive today, and no scientist has ever found a fossil of one, and yet unicorns are mentioned in the Bible 9 times in the books of Numbers, Deuteronomy, Job, Psalms, and Isaiah. And so because of this, people like to scoff at the Bible and say things like this.
So, now if you believe in God, you believe in unicorns. Which is fantastic.
If we're going to use the Bible for science, we've got us and tough things to explain. What are you going to do about unicorns? Are mentioned 8 times in the Bible. I want to tell you what, we have never found a fossil of a unicorn.
By the way, where are the unicorns that are referred to in the Bible? Where are those, either in the fossil record or today? To see one of those, another one of those interesting tests that continues to get failed.
Well, if you get an old 1828 Noah Webster's Dictionary, which is the very first edition dictionary that Webster came out with about 200 years ago, and if you look up the word unicorn, it says that unicorn is an animal with one horn, the monoceros. This name is often applied to the rhinoceros. Notice how this definition says absolutely nothing
A
about a horse.
rhinoceros.
It says nothing about a horse-like animal or a mythical animal or a fictitious creature. It says absolutely nothing about Greek mythology whatsoever, but rather it says that this is the name that is often applied to the rhinoceros. Wait a minute. What? The rhinoceros? You mean this is a unicorn? But the rhinoceros has 2 horns. How could this be a unicorn? Well, if you look up the word rhinoceros in the same dictionary, it says that rhinoceros is a genus of quadrupeds of 2 species, one of which, the unicorn, has a single horn growing almost erect from the nose. This animal when full grown is said to be 12 feet in length. There's another species with 2 horns, the bicornis. They are natives of Asia and of Africa. According to Noah Webster, back in the early 1800s, it was understood that there were 2 species of the rhinoceros. The one-horned species was called unicorn,
Oh, wow.
and the 2-horned species was called bicornis. So basically, you get a 200-year-old Noah Webster's Dictionary, and look up the word unicorn, it says rhinoceros, then look up the word rhinoceros, and it says unicorn. That was just 200 years ago. The old King James was translated 400 years ago, in 1611. So if the definition of the word unicorn has changed in just the past 200 years from rhinoceros to horse, then it doesn't make much sense to take a modern definition of the word unicorn and apply it to a 400-year-old translation of the Bible. That's illogical. As a matter of fact, even today, the scientific name of the Asian one-horned rhinoceros is Rhinoceros unicornis, and Dicerus bicornis is the scientific name of a 2-horned rhinoceros. Well, where do you think those scientific names came from? I wonder. Well, they came from the Latin. Unicornis and bicornis are Latin words. Well, that's interesting, because in Psalm 92, verse 10, the psalmist is praying and says, "But my horn shalt thou exalt like the horn of a unicorn." If you look up this verse in the Latin Bible, the word that's being used here is the word unicornis. Unicornis is the same Latin word that's being used in the scientific name of the Asian one-horned rhinoceros. In Job 39, verse 9, God is speaking to Job and says, "Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee or abide by thy crib?" If you look up this verse in the Latin Bible, the word that's being used here is the word rhinoceros. Rhinoceros is the Latin word that's being used in this scripture.
Wow.
Interesting.
Learned a lot of shit today.
Rhinoceros unicornis. Rhinoceros unicornis. As a matter of fact, in these 9 scripture verses, there's actually 5 different Latin words that are being used. Rhinoceros, rhinoceratis, rhinocerata, unicornium, and unicornis. These 5 Latin words are what's being used when the old King James Version of the Bible says unicorn.
One night I was called on the telephone.
Wow, that was cool. So the rhinoceros is really the unicorn. That is cool. I learned something. I always wondered where a unicorn, why we never had no proof of it, but there's always someone saying there's a unicorn, but we never had no fossils of it. That's cool. A unicorn is a rhinoceros. Yeah, man, if y'all would, hit that like, hit that sub, man. Take my channel a long ways, man. Let's get to it.
And I was told to go to a certain address. I just got in the car and went there. And I'm going to tell you all something. I walked into what looked like a normal building, but when I got inside this building, I'd never seen anything like that inside, because all along the top of the building, on the upper rows, it seemed like invention after invention after invention after invention. And it went on and on and on. What was on that shelf were things like magnets that picked up gold coins, gasoline that was made from plants, which he called green gasoline, coils that I've never seen, almost like a Tesla coil, but much steeper angles, which were all resonant at a certain frequency. Paid very close attention to one thing. There was this chart, and it was basically laid out like this here. It had all these little lines like this on the chart, but it was huge. I started asking, "What is this chart?" And he said, "Well, go over there and look." And so I went over there, and it showed where time started on our time scale. And then it went on and on and on, and it got up into some was about here. Because I was in '84, I was back here somewhere. And there were little pictures underneath the chart. And I know that most people are going to find this hard to believe, but all along this chart it said who the presidents were, whether they were assassinated or not assassinated, what the year was going to bring as far as food for the world. And when I got up here, it said that the world was in a chaotic condition basically at 2000. And it showed war and war and war and war and more war. It also showed that it named the presidents by name. It showed Reagan, it showed Carter, it showed Reagan, it showed George Bush Sr., and after that it showed Clinton. It said the Clinton years right in here somewhere. I was back here. How they knew even who the presidents were was a mystery to me. And when I asked him that question, he says, we know. We know who's going to be the president. And right around in here, he said, it showed a little picture and it showed two little towers. And it showed them on fire. But it showed war. It showed war from here on all the way to the end. And it said that time, it ended here for us. 2036 or 2034 or something.
Oh, wow.
It ended there, and it ended right after.
Shit.
Nothing went on past that.
That I'm about to share. And they
Wow, what do y'all think about that? Hey, boy, he ran into some Illuminati, some secret people there. It's kind of freaky. I don't know what I'd do if I'd walked in. I would have studied that freaking chart a little more. I'd made money on who's the president's coming up.
They no longer have to be buried deep in the archives. And for the beginning of these photos, I want to focus on the main theme. The theme being that the building is completed, and they are simply putting scaffolding around the buildings. In my opinion, they are painting these buildings white so that they look brand new, when in reality, they are old and from the past civilization. Here we are told is the government building in the Philippine Exposition. We can zoom in on these guys, and of course they're not doing anything productive. You would think that they could build a better ladder compared to what they supposedly built right
Pretty
next
good
to
ladder.
them. And again, let's switch over to this one, where we are told that this is a construction photo when it's clearly completed. The only construction going on here is the scaffolding. Again and again. People just standing there looking so odd. And it almost looks like they just have a kid here. I mean, look at the detail on top of the columns. It's unbelievable. And I believe that I was correct when I said that they were just painting these buildings. They are not constructing anything. Now let's look down here at the bottom right-hand side of this photo. It says right here that these are painters and decorators. They are not building anything like the description says for these photos. And they needed a place to live on site because they were painting all of these old world buildings. They were going to be there for a while. The buildings lasted forever. The paint did not. So they needed to get a fresh coat of paint on there. But when you look at the description of the photo, it says that it's a photo during its construction. So they are clearly lying. Painting is not constructing. It's painting. Two different...
Whoa. Don't listen to that idiot. Painting is construction. I was a construction worker. I was a painter. I was considered a construction worker. Don't listen to that dude. He is goofy as hell. The reason why there ain't no like people there building it is because it's already built. What's the last thing you do? You paint it. So of course, all the stuff that built the place is gonna be out of the way. You got to be able to paint. So I mean, this dude's rhetorical. Blah 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 blah. This dude's stupid.
Completely separate jobs. So these are all from the St. Louis World's Fair that we showed in the intro. The dates are from 1803, not 1903, and it had a mud flood that ripped through the interior of these buildings. So let's take a look at
That
this
might have
building
happened.
from St. Louis. And this is founded and renamed the Varied Industries building. This is another completion photo that they're trying to say is a construction photo. And I want to zoom in on the top of this building. Can you believe the tech that is on the top of this thing? It's incredible. We have shown the airships in episode 48 and how they connected these flying crafts to the top of these buildings and used them as charging docks. And to be clear, I don't think that the past civilization was limited to just these airships that we have photos of. I think that they had much more powerful vehicles. But let's get back to these photos. Skeptics have said these buildings were just made of wood and very easily constructed, and then that's why they knocked them down. No, the only wood that was being used in this project is for the scaffolding, to paint the old world buildings white. The lumber is for the scaffolding, not the actual building. Let's make that very clear. If you've ever gone
The
to
building's
these
already
buildings,
built.
the pillars are pure marble. They're not wood. You can use the Field Museum as an example, located in Chicago. Now here we have another incredible construction photo, where for some reason, there isn't much construction going on, just a building with more scaffolding.
It's already
My question
constructed.
is, how have they gotten away with this nonsense for so long? That is not construction. I can clearly see that the building is done. Just because someone put a ladder in front of it doesn't mean this is being constructed. This is the process that painters use. Any painter will confirm this. And also imagine carrying these materials.
No, I'm a
up
painter, and
that
that's
scaffolding.
you're
If this
goofy.
was really a construction photo, it would be impossible and very embarrassing because nobody would be able to do it. Does anyone see a crane anywhere? No.
They're already
Once you know,
built.
You know. You don't go back to believing in the lies because they are ridiculous. We have more tech in the background here. There are two of them actually. And here we have a bunch of people that found this building. Let's take a second and look at the size of this thing. This was the Palace of Electricity. Could you imagine this being constructed today? This thing is unbelievable. And remember, there were so many of these buildings being thrown together in like 2 years supposedly, at the same exact time. Oh, and they are all dated 1803, not 1903. And what happened to the Palace of Electricity? We were told that these buildings were practically worthless, and they ended up in dump sites because they were just made of wood, right? The problem with that is that they are contradicting themselves. The Missouri History Museum states that the construction for the Palace of Electricity and Machinery costed them $412,000, which is the equivalent to $11.48 million today in 2023. So it's practically worthless, or is it 11.4 million? This is the kind of stuff that makes me fully trust the mainstream narrative. I love just knowing deep down that they would never lie to us. It's just really nice to know. I love that they provide us with full logistical details. They never contradict themselves. They go that extra mile to make sure that what we are being told is exactly what happened. Oh, they don't do any of that? No, they don't do any of that. Literally none of it. The title states that this is the Iowa State Pavilion construction. And if you just shut your eyes right now, you can clearly see them right there laying the cornerstone. Okay, you can open your eyes now. This is the master builder down here. And those guys up there were also fully trained on how to build massive palaces. In fact, they are admittedly self-trained, getting a lot of their architecture designs and ideas from working on Abe Lincoln's house. As you can see, they were very busy workers. They got that building done in less than 2 years, ready for the world to see. Temporarily, of course, before knocking it down, so that nobody would ever see it again. And we can't forget to mention that they have painters actually painting this building. 4 of them to be exact, proving again that these are not construction photos. They are painting photos. And over on the right-hand side of this photo, we can clearly see a construction process happening, putting the scaffolding together with perfection. Just look at that scaffolding architecture. Okay, I'll be done with the sarcasm for today. The mainstream narrative is so ridiculous. It's really hard to not make fun of it at this point. And then we have more painters. He's got
I want
his
to make fun of
paintbrush in his
you,
hand,
bro.
And the paint right there on the scaffolding. So it's pretty clear at this point that these are no longer allowed to be considered construction photos for anyone that ever had a doubt in their mind. Now he's holding up a hat, and that hat says something on it. I wish I knew what
Painting
it
is the
said.
final
Comment
step
below what you
to
think
the
that hat
construction
says. All answers are
process.
accepted. The guy next to him is also wearing a top hat, which is, of course, if you're going for the productive painter / I still want my style points look, very common for the 1900s. Very impressive. And here we have the United States Fisheries Building during its completion. But I'm going to zoom in on this building on the right-hand side because it's very strange. And we have these creatures' faces on the side of this building. with writing here as well. I can't see exactly what it says, but it definitely doesn't say fisheries building. And then we can see more painters up here on the left-hand side. And here we have a modern fisheries building, built by us, of course, which won't last forever, unfortunately, because that's the way we construct things. So here we have a fisheries building that is designed by the Greek gods. And we are told that this is a separation of 100 years, but we are evolving and advancing, when in all honesty, that's the complete opposite. More and more people are realizing that the mainstream history that is written down by some random individual that was never even there and is being told what to write is a joke. Anyone that is seriously backing the regurgitated nonsense at this point and is serious about it should be very careful what they hope and believe in, because I have a lot more on the way that is going to rip their history books apart.
Is there a massive, and I mean massive, sinister plot in the world right now to hide the fact that giants existed and hide the fact that dragons existed and make you think anything found of large bone nature came from dinosaurs? I think there is, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. First, if you haven't seen my giant videos, I've done 3 of them. I think I come up with some pretty good evidence that giants existed. This is just one talking about how the Smithsonian has hidden thousands of giant bones, and I'm not talking 8 or 9 foot giants, up to 18-foot giant humanoid skeleton remains. Here's a femur. Come on, look at that. But stick around. This one's going to be more about dragons and proof that they've been here. This was literally one of Yahoo's lead stories today, talking about how this plesiosaur discovery of this giant, huge sea creature dinosaur. I want you to look at that, and I want you to picture what you would imagine a dragon to look like through the images we've seen, through the ancient drawings. That is a dragon skull. I don't care what you say. Not only that, but it was found in the cliffs. It was found up in the cliffs, not in the ocean, not down low, but up in the cliffs. This is a dragon, and I want to give you more evidence that dragons existed, and maybe there's even a few flying around still. Keep following.
The question is not what made them go extinct. The question is, did they go extinct? People say, come on, now dinosaurs aren't in the Bible. Well, of course the word's not in there. They didn't make up the word till 1841. The word computer's not in there either, but there really are computers, okay? Now, they didn't call them dinosaur, though. They called them dragon. See, the word dinosaur wasn't made up till 1841. So for most of human history, these creatures are called dragons. And you know, dinosaurs not even in the dictionary in 1891. For most of human history, they were known as dragons. Now, dragons are mentioned in the Bible 34 times. Dragons are listed in the dictionary in 1946 as now rare. As the population of people began to grow after the...
I'm just going to put this up for eye candy while I talk about something for a second. And of course, this could be AI, CGI, whatever. But it's interesting to think about. I just want to clarify what he said. He is not saying dinosaurs existed and they just called them dragons. He's saying no, they were actually dragons. And then somewhere along the line, the term dinosaur came up and the images of dinosaurs came up. But they were dragons.
Why would the Chinese calendar have 11 real animals, you know, the pig, the duck, the dog, and a dragon? Why would they put a mythical animal in there? Could it be that at the time they came up with these 12 symbols, there were 12 real animals? Here's one of the oldest pieces of pottery on planet Earth. It's a piece of slate from Egypt, first dynasty of United Egypt. It shows long-necked dragons.
Now, I want to add these last few videos here. I'm not trying to say they're real, but they're interesting, at the very least, to look at, to think about. I truly think there were dragons that existed, but are there maybe still a few flying around today? I want to show you these videos, and I want to tell you what's the reason for all this at the end. It's pretty good fake, if it's fake. I just wanted to play this one again because you can research baby dragon on YouTube. It's pretty legit. All right, back to the original point. What's the sinister plot? It is that dragons existed and giants existed, and that if we knew that, it would legitimize the Bible, it would legitimize God, it would legitimize the fact that we are living in God's creation and not some spinning random accident hurling through space with all these infinite planets and galaxies. That's not what's happening. They hide these, they destroy them, or they tell you they're dinosaurs. There's like actual proof that things that existed that would look like this, they can't even survive because they wouldn't be able to mate. Think of a stegosaurus and all that. Like, dinosaurs are a hoax. Giants are real, probably up to 100 feet, and dragons are real. Now, whether they blew fire or not, I don't know. But these guys existed and they didn't, and if that offends you or you can't wrap your head around it, I'm sorry. That just means you're so indoctrinated that you can't really visualize or think about something outside of what you know. Open your mind, have an open mind, seek truth. More importantly, seek God.
Check.
I believe in dragons and giants, so that was very interesting. I always believed in dragons.
This out. The Americas is Grenada, Israel, the Promised Land. All of these are biblical place names in Utah, including Jerusalem. Utah's nickname is the Beehive State. There is a mountain in eastern Nevada named Mount Moriah, and it is over 12,000 feet high. In Utah, not only is there a River Jordan, but it runs out of a freshwater lake into the Great Salt Lake, which is remarkably like the Dead Sea. There is also a Mount Nebo in Utah, approximately 12,000 feet high. So yes, with evidence this strong, the real Judah was in Utah. People try to say that it was the Mormons that gave these places like Utah biblical names to support their position as Jews. However, this explanation fails miserably because there are no 12,000 feet high mountains in modern day Israel. Therefore, the real Judah or Israel had to be in Utah because it fits the description of the kingdom of Judah perfectly. The name Utah is derived from the name of the Ute tribe. It means the people of the mountains in the Ute language. According to other sources, Utah is derived from the Apache name Yuda, which means tall. In the so-called Spanish language, it was said as Utah. Subsequently, the English-speaking people adapted the word Utah. There is no J in Hebrew, therefore Judah is Yuda, especially when you consider the fact that the J...
Yeah, man, I enjoyed those. I learned some stuff. Some of it I didn't believe, but a lot of it I did. I do believe in dragons, but yeah, that was great, man. If y'all like this, enjoyed it, man, hit that like, hit that sub, man. Help my channel grow, man. Till next time, man. Peace.